Hey, it's Dr. Andrea here, host of Liberate Your Authentic Self. And today, as part of the Time to Rise author interview series, I'm bringing you a conversation with Geneviève Pépin. She is an accredited life coach, an empowerer of women, and an author. And after 5 years of working in events management and marketing around the world, Geneviève pushed the reset button and decided to say yes to her mission, helping women get out of their own way and redefining who they are so that they can create their best life and express themselves fully. She provides actionable coaching to help clients develop an empowering mindset, which we're going to talk a lot about today. And it's really her mission to help you let go of what might be holding you back so that you can take an empowered journey to living your life on a whole other level. So I hope you enjoy the conversation. So Geneviève, it is wonderful to connect with you. Thank you so much for making time for this radio show.
Well, it is my absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, I'm excited to dig right in because a lot of your story is also my story, you know, former perfectionist, someone who had to break down before I could see the light. So I thought it would be really interesting just to give us a sense of the backstory. Right now, we see you are living the life. You know, you're gorgeous, you're bright, you're hosting summits, you're helping women really live their life in alignment with who they really are. But there was a time earlier in your life and your career when you were doing what we all do, you know, trying to live up to these expectations. And part of that actually took you to China. So I think it would be really nice if you would just give us a little bit of the backstory about how your ambition was driving you to do all of these things, and it led to a breakdown, which eventually led to a breakthrough. So it's a happy story.
Yes, it's all a journey. It's all a journey, and thanks to you actually for that opportunity, because sharing that story helped me to accept it as part of me, you know. So yes, there's some breakdowns, but there's some breakthroughs. So the backstory is that I've always been very ambitious, and I've always seen myself, you know, in with a well-fitted suit, walking fast in a big city and doing things very important, you know, very important things. And so I went to study business, and I did everything I could because I hard work and determination was my, you know, path. And what I wanted is to create a CV that actually would give me that free pass that was outstanding, so that later on I wouldn't have to worry.
Yeah. And what was the influence that put that into you at such a young age that you're like, I've got to collect all of these accolades and achievements onto my curriculum vitae for my Americans who don't know what a CV is, but like a resume. But where did that influence come from that drove you to be so ambitious so early in life?
I believe that I've always been a push, but in a gentle way, not in a bad way, to be, you know, to strive for excellence. And since I was young, I was in we would call it strong classes, you know, where those groups where the students have, you know, the best grades so they can learn faster and stuff like that. So I've always been in that environment. I've always gone for not the regular, just one notch up, one level up. And so I believe that it just came very naturally for me. And one of maybe a little bit of a breakthrough, when I was about 20 years old, I was invited to go on a backpacking trip through Europe. And then at that time, it was not something that was possible for me. I thought it was I never thought of that. And within 6 months, I just decided that I would do it. And I just got 2-3 jobs and saved money. And within 6 months, I had a plane ticket to go to Malaga and go to Spain, which was awesome. But what I want to say is that after that, I realized that whatever I wanted to do that was, possible, was I just had to work hard and I could achieve it. So that was one of the first time I proved myself that. So if I just, push really hard and just endure, I'm going to get there. So, yeah.
So then what was it that led to the depression and the breakdown?
So when I, let me just get back a little bit. So, because it's funny because I used to say I've been through so much in my life. If I was to have a depression, I would have had it already. That's how I thought.
Wow.
I'm not judging myself now, but so when I got to university and I was really ambitious, I was doing whatever I can to get the grades and everything. I wanted to go abroad, so I went to study in China. I got a scholarship to go there. And all of this was to, oh my God, it's going to look awesome on my resume, like a year in China. And at that time, I didn't really, I was not so much interested in the language because I thought it was impossible to learn anyway. So I just went there and I thought, I'm going to have a good time. It's going to be great. And when I got there, I fell in love with the culture and the language. And I had a very special feeling of freedom over there. It's like, I think that everybody who's been abroad and who lived abroad maybe have that feeling where you can start from scratch. You don't have to. You can define yourself in another way. And so I had that. So I loved it. And then from one year, I decided to reapply for a scholarship. Got a second scholarship. So I stayed there for 2 years, and was super happy and everything. And then I came back to Canada. I'm Canadian. I came back to Canada to finish my business studies. And well, that's one thing I want to say to everybody. If you move abroad and you move back, just expect the moving back to be as much of a challenge of when you first move, because this is a complete readjustment. It's not because it's home that it's easy to reintegrate. I felt like I was behind, even though I came with that experience and that kind of mystery that, I come from a relatively small town, so nobody around me had, nobody had lived abroad for so long, or spoke Chinese. And I kind of came back with, with the kind of the pride that I wanted to get, but with this, as you said before, came so much expectations, and most of them from me. I wanted to be the one who, okay, now I've done that. I've invested in this. Now I need to justify it by being, everything. By doing everything. And then, so I went back to university. I signed up in every project and every association that I could. And yeah, so in my head, I had to have everything figured out. I had to, I lost 2 years in China. So I was a little bit older than, people also. So I was like, I need to know better, and I need to be able to do everything. And so, you know where this is going, right? So it's just, kind of escalating. And one day I broke down, and I was diagnosed with depression, which was a functional depression, but it was so that's how it came.
And how was your family? Were they supportive of all of this all along, with you going away and then the coming home? Didn't anyone see that maybe you were driving yourself a little too much, a little too hard?
That's a good question. Well, my family was supportive of me, like going abroad and following, what I wanted to do, because I've always felt like they believed in me, so I think that I think that I was told that I was pushing myself and everything, but I didn't let it show that it was affecting me that much, I believe, because I wanted to, have that facade that, I had everything under control, and that this is really what I wanted. So I guess then I was kind of not considering maybe a warning that I could have received or something. It was like, oh no, I'm fine. I just need to do that, and because I won't have to worry later.
Right. But how did that affect your mindset? I mean, if you're thinking, wait, I've done everything I should, so that I won't have to worry, and then you really, you get diagnosed with a depression, and you're really like facing reality of a human life, not that you're not able to handle a lot of shizzle, but just that we humans, we need like rest, we need breaks, we need to make sure we're aligned with the right choices. I mean, how did you cope with that mentally?
Well, I didn't. That's the thing. Well, because I think that this is the whole point, right, of the experience, is that you need to be able to manage your emotions. You need to be able to be aware of the responsibility you have toward yourself, right? And now with a step back, I can understand that I didn't have that mindset. Actually, it's funny because one of the biggest shock of my depression is that, and I don't talk about it in the book, but it's when I was younger, I was always very body conscious because I started as a overweight kid, and all of my life I thought I'm maybe not very pretty, but I'm very smart. So I went like this, and when I got the depression, and the depression was like, I think that everybody may experience it in different ways, but for me, I remember that my brain was shutting down. Like I could not reflect. I could not think. Somebody was asking me a question and I was just seeing like nothing, so for me, who identified myself as a smart girl, but not very pretty, like it was kind of, I felt very defeated because I was like, okay, what do I have left? And it's funny because from that, like around that time, it kind of changed where I was like, okay, maybe I'm pretty, but I'm dumb, and that led me to run even faster to cover that.
Oh my heavens. So it's like you get over one kind of overachievement thing, and that just created yet another version. Wow.
Exactly. So you have to imagine like, and then came the imposter syndrome and just the feeling that I really had to, cover everything, because people would actually find out that, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. Or people would actually find out that maybe I'm not as smart as everybody thinks, because of course people like from the outside, and I know that very well, like people see you as very successful, but then inside you're like, oh, and the bigger that gap, the worse you feel, when everybody's like, oh my God, you can do it. You're a machine. Exactly. And inside you're like, oh my God, like, I just want to go back to bed and like not be here. Like, I can't, like, what if they find out? And that there's actually a scene that I describe in the book that is, I describe like one of the anxiety crisis that I had, and I feel like it was one of the first time that I identified the situation as an anxiety crisis, and I was just pulling my hair out, like, I mean, it's an expression, but just like I was freaking out. I was just like walking in a circle in my living room, and I had a hard time to breathe, and I was just imagining the face of people who would be disappointed because I couldn't perform, or I had made a mistake. It was not even about like a failure. It was just like not having everything completely figured out, under control, perfect. And that's the thing, is that when you're in that situation, you don't realize that that's something you see in your head and that's not something that's happening.
Exactly.
So, but then it's just like, it really messes up a lot. So yeah.
So when did you have the epiphany and the awakening that you're like, wait a minute, this is all my own creation? Like, how did that happen for you? How did you like snap out of it?
Well, it was after a lot of roller coaster rides. Because after that, after depression, what happened is that I started again, go, and I got opportunities that I really wanted. And when I got there, I found out that either I was not happy or I could not manage myself, and I could not manage my emotions. I was not strong enough, or I was not good enough, So I actually quit and found another opportunity, for example. And then I was like, oh, and this one's going to be the good one, and this one's going to be a good one. And then whoop, I was numbing myself with food. That's something that I talk about in the book. And I got into an eating disorder just to cope, with all the stress. And so I had it happens a few times. And even I left China, moved to Spain, to be with the love of my life, which I'm so grateful for, whom I'm so grateful for. And I got a job in Spain, and then I thought, I'm away from that madness. I'm now I have a supportive environment. I'm not alone, I'm I'm in a loving relationship and everything's going to be fine. And this happened again. And I remember, coming back home and again, having, crying on the couch. And I was like, what's the problem? I had different experiences in different countries, in different languages, with completely different people. And the same cycle is repeating itself. So, maybe there's what is in common with everything, with all those situations.
It's you.
Yeah. Exactly. So that's how I realized that, maybe I got to,
But how did you change it? How did you flip that into the positive? Because for many of us, when we start to look at all the relationships, all the failures, all the whatevers, and we realize, ooh, the common denominator is me, it can sometimes lead us into even more of a depression, even more of a downward spiral, where some people will, again, they'll abuse something, whether it's food or drugs or whatever, to numb out. How did you capture that mindset to say, okay, well, if I'm the one that's the common denominator, then that means I can change it?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Well, I asked for help. I hired a coach and I started, my personal development journey where I started to gain awareness. I started to, understand again, the responsibility I had toward myself and also, the power and the choice that I had, and it all starts from there, because I wasn't that victim mentality, right? I wasn't that victim that, oh, that person, my boss, she was bullying me, and maybe she was, but I still put myself in that situation to some degree, or I could have left earlier, or, I could have responded differently, so I was really in that mindset that people are not good for me and I'm not able to deal with that. And so it all started with awareness and then, giving myself the permission I needed. And it's funny because talking about giving ourselves permission, it was not the first step, because I didn't know I was looking for a permission. I didn't know that I was handing over my power and I was completely waiting for people to approve of me before I would do something, even though it was not direct, but I was just, let's put it like that. It never occurred to me that, when I was at work, because a lot of it was in a professional situation. Never occurred to me that my opinion was just as good as somebody else, or that if somebody else had a different idea or it created something else, they must know better, right? Because yeah, they probably know better than me, So all of that is just a way of actually discrediting yourself, and actually asking and having just constantly waiting for actually people to say that what you are, what you do, what you think is good enough, and then you can actually stand your ground and go for it, instead of actually starting from there and agree to disagree or whatever. But So
it was through this journey of hiring a coach and starting down the road of personal development that really taught you how to look at your situations differently. And I know that a lot of what you're into now with helping other women to give themselves permission to focus on yourself and what you really want, that's a big part of it. And what about forgiveness? Because you and I have talked before about this idea of really practicing forgiveness toward yourself. Did that play a part in your development at all?
Absolutely. Especially because, hello, recovering perfectionist, and and forgiveness for me is key, because I had learned that beating myself up was bringing me forward, and until it didn't work anymore. And forgiveness for me was weak. It was like, no, I cannot accept that this was not right. No. So that was definitely a big change of mindset, where practicing forgiveness is just trusting that that you can actually make a better decision, or you can, okay, I learned this. It's okay. It doesn't mean anything about my worth. I'm just gonna do better next time. And that's just it. And that just saves so much time and energy that you could spend doing something more productive.
Exactly.
So yeah, it's just, but it takes a lot, and it's something that, and what I mean when I say it takes a lot is it takes practice. It's not, of course, it's not about beating yourself up for not forgiving yourself. It's about just learning little by little to let go, and it's not necessarily about big things. It's just about following a pattern that is not serving you. Well, of course you're following it because it's a pattern, right? So maybe you're gonna fall into the trap 10 times, and it's just about trusting that you're gonna be able to take a better decision next time. So little by little, and then it becomes just a way of being, a way of thinking. It's not even an event anymore, like forgiving yourself. It's just actually moving on and not letting anything question your worth, because I truly believe that you are alive, therefore you are worthy, Now that it's cleared up, we can, start building something else. Like we're not going to question that, because it's not questionable.
Exactly. I love it. And I love how you're paying it forward now. Like you, with the creation of your coaching business and you hosting summits, you're like really putting all of the information out there to give women exactly what you said, the practice, to try these things on, to practice it so that you realize this is just non-negotiable. Of course, I'm going to love myself. I'm going to accept myself. It's okay if I make mistakes. So I've been curious about this since, we met last year, and looking at your emails and sending you emails, I have always wondered what the heck your coaching business name really means. So can you just break that down for us? What does Netola stand for? How do you pronounce it? Is it Spanish? What is it?
Well, thanks for asking. It's actually, I looked it up if it was a real word, and I don't think it is. So if somebody out there, if it's a real word in your language, let me know. But for me, it means never too late. It's like, yes, because I truly believe that it's never too late to start feeling great about yourself. It's never too late to become who you want to be, become the person that can create the life of your dreams. And because I know that hearing your story, you said that you had your breakthrough at mid-30s, and you were saying it in a way that, it was late.
Yeah.
Because in my, and the same thing for me. I mean, for me at like 30 was the age when I needed to have everything figured out. Right. And starting from there was like starting the life of having like a plateau with like the house and the stable salary and the husband and the kids and, until the end of life. So so it was not an option to start changing then, because you need to do that in your 20s.
Right.
So with the coaching and with the, starting to know myself, starting to gain awareness, starting to get awareness of the choices I had, I started to give myself the permission to do things that I actually never even considered, just to give you an example. And a lot of people talk about changing careers and it's great. And this is also what happened for me, but it doesn't have to be that. It can be like a tiny example would be, I love singing, but I never sang in public because I was always like, ashamed of it. It's kind of, I'm not Celine Dion, therefore I cannot sing in public.
Right.
And throughout this process of actually allowing myself to see different options, I had an opportunity to sing, and I did, and I felt like, a little bit bad, like a little bit shame about it, but then I heard people tell me like, oh my God, you looked so happy. Aww. Like, oh my God, you looked so yourself and natural. And what I want to say is that this was not even something I considered. And it doesn't mean I want to be a singer, because that's not the point. But it's just that just to give yourself the permission, or just at any age, no matter where you are, no matter what you do, allowing yourself to shine from the inside out and to really be the person that, or do what you secretly want to do, because you know what? If you're not doing it, it's you who's paying it. It's not really the others, So never too late. It's really about that, is that, no matter the age, and no matter where you think you should be, or who you think you should be, it's never too late to start feeling awesome and be the person you want to be.
I love it. I love it. Oh, Geneviève, this is awesome. Thank you so much. So for people who would like to get a hold of information about your coaching practice, you can go to netolacoaching.com. And of course, the links will be in the description. But and they can also sign up and get, a healthy dose of mindset secrets, as you call them, and inspiration. Yeah. And how can we find out about this new summit that you're hosting?
Well, thank you very much for mentioning that. I'm hosting a new summit that will be called Chic and Unstoppable, and it's really to inspire women and give you the power back. You have the power to define who you are in the world. And so this summit will be about mindset, also body confidence and style empowerment, how to show up as the most powerful version of yourself, because you get to decide who you are. So to find out about that, please, you can write me an email at hello@netolacoaching.com, or just register for my newsletter, and I will you will receive all the information. So more to come. And it will be featuring Andrea as well in her fabulous wisdom, so not to miss.
Well, I'm excited to be a part of it, excited to support you. As you know, I love that you took a bold move and shared your personal story in Time to Rise. So you all definitely check out the book, Time to Rise, and read her story so you can learn even more of the little insights. We didn't share it all here. So Geneviève, thank you again. I am so grateful to have you in this community with us and happy to see what's coming next for you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here, and thank you for the opportunity.
Awesome. So there you have it, my friends. It is never too late to tap into your authentic self, find your style, your voice, and go out there and rock it. Because remember, you truly are a gift to the world. So share your presence with passion. Much love. Bye. How do you pick yourself up when life knocks you down? Perseverance, grit, determination, resilience. These words describe natural human qualities which help us bounce back after any type of setback: illness, loss, betrayal, bankruptcy, divorce, abuse, and trauma. No one is immune to experiencing the tragedies of life at some point. Learning how to use your potential to rise again is what will keep you going. I'm Dr. Andrea Pennington, creator and publisher of Time to Rise. In Time to Rise, 29 inspiring changemakers share their personal stories of transformation to prove that you can reclaim your life, find your purpose, and re-emerge as the powerful creator that you are. It can be tempting to think that the people who succeed in life or who recover after major devastating loss are special or somehow endowed with magical powers. The reality is, within you are the very same powers. You have the potential to live a life of meaning and purpose in alignment with your values. You have the right and the power to reclaim wellness, live with vitality, and enjoy real happiness. Get your copy of Time to Rise and enjoy free gifts with your purchase. May this book help you reconnect to who you really are. May you find peace and hope. May you claim this moment as your time to rise. Visit timetorise.me and buy the book anywhere books are sold.